What is up, Sawyer Robertson? Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is great. And I know you are ready to go for your spring season at Baylor University, back at school. So, how are you feeling getting back into it?
I feel good. Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think with the season we had last season, the off season we're gonna have, the people that are coming back, we got a good group of guys, and so I'm really looking forward to it. Classes start tomorrow, and so it's about to get going again.
Yeah, is there a class that you're like, man, like I gotta go take this class? Is there anything that you're
Actually,
worried
yeah,
about?
it's kind of funny. So in the fall, I purposely set my schedule to where it was like easier classes. That way I could focus on football a little bit more. Um, but now that it's the spring, I'm gonna have to take a couple of those hard classes, and so I'm a little worried about B law. I'm in the business school at Baylor, which is awesome. It's a really great school. And so I'm a little bit worried about B law because I've heard from some of my friends that it's kind of a tougher class. But we'll see if I can get through it.
You'll be good. As long as you have friends and you guys stick in it together,
Yeah, I
you'll
know.
be good.
I know.
Oh, that's a lot. Well, I love to ask people to start the podcast what they're all about right now. It could be something as silly as like a restaurant, a food, or maybe it's a book or just an activity maybe outside of your sport. Is there something that, right now in this season of life you're all about?
Yeah, there's actually two. One, fishing. I love fishing is like my escape from football. I love growing up. Me and my family would always go to the mountains. We'd go camping and we'd fly fish. And so that's always my my number one. And like I just told you, we went on my brother's bachelor's trip up in the mountains. We didn't get to fish, but there were a bunch of cool like lakes and rivers that I was wishing that I was doing. And then here in the off season, me and a couple of my teammates will go golfing a bunch, and so that's where we get pretty good at golf. It's kind of funny, like the first time we play in the new year is pretty terrible, but by the summer we're playing pretty good. And like pretty when I say pretty good, I'm not talking about like great, but it's like better than where we started at.
Yeah.
And so fishing and golf are probably my two big ones. They're both like kind of my escapes from when I get away from class and football and stuff. So
It's so funny because I feel like a lot of specifically guys who play contact sports like hockey, football, they love golf. Like they're just like
yeah,
whenever I can play golf. And I
yeah,
think a lot of people have that feeling towards golf, but it's funny to hear you say that. So, okay, well, we'll check back in with you in the summer and see where your golf score is at. But I
yeah.
guess just
That
on
sounds
the
good.
on the fishing side, like I grew up in Seattle, Washington, so definitely
Oh,
a
nice.
big fishing area, but I didn't really fish often. So, to people who are listening to this podcast and they love fishing, do you have one tip for them?
Um, don't be afraid to. This is kind of a life tip too. But like, don't be afraid to cast somewhere where you might lose your lure or fly or anything. Might get hung up because that's generally where the biggest fish are. So high risk, high reward. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to do it. So go
I
for it.
love that. That's a great.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that outside of fishing, I guess. I love that. Well, Sawyer, you are the quarterback at Baylor University. Was it always quarterback for you? Was it always football? How did this start?
Actually, no. My whole life, I thought I was going to be a baseball player. Um, both my parents were athletes. Mom was track and basketball. Dad was football, baseball. My dad actually got drafted by the Montreal Expos in 1990 to go play baseball, and so I kind of wanted to follow those footsteps. I wanted to go play baseball. I didn't want to go to college. I wanted to get drafted out of high school. All those things. And so, like I said, even up into high school, I thought I was going to be a baseball player, and then played football and baseball in high school. And I just got a lot more attention for football. I was getting recruited for football more heavily than I was for baseball. And so I just kind of saw that as like God was telling me, hey, like let's go with football, see where this takes you. And so I ended up signing to do both at Mississippi State. But after my first fall of football, I decided to just stick with football because that's what I thought was going to be my path. And so yeah, my whole life thought I was going to be a baseball player, but then right at the very end, felt like I was called to play football. So
That's cool. I feel like that happens a lot in life with certain things. Like you think you're think you're gonna do one thing and then
Yeah,
it totally goes the other way. That was a
yeah,
little bit of my experience with sports. I played AAU basketball my whole life, but it was a situation where like I chose basketball, basketball did not choose me. And it
yeah,
was just like lacrosse kind of came into the picture, and so
yeah.
but it's cool because then you see like, okay, this is really what the Lord has for me and all the
Right.
things. But and you had an incredible season at Baylor. Do you have a favorite moment being the quarterback there this season?
Ooh, there's a couple. Obviously, so started off 2-4, ended the season on a 6 game win streak, which is really cool. It was awesome. Like the more and more we won, just being to celebrate with the guys in the locker room after each game. More specifically, it was cool for me to play in Lubbock, where I'm from, against Texas Tech, and that was actually the first win of that 6 game win streak. And my whole entire family was there, all my friends. We had like 40 something people there in total, and so that was a really cool moment. And then there's actually a few. So and then we beat West Virginia in Morgantown for the first time ever, and so that was really cool. And then we beat TCU at home for the first time in 10 years, and the fans rushed the field after that game. And so lots of cool moments from this past football season. And so it was an honor to be a part of it.
That's so awesome to be able to play in front of that many family and friends. Like, are you kidding
Yeah.
me?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was really cool.
Were they super stressed out? Like, what is the Robertson family? What's their vibe on game day?
That's a great question. My dad and brother are pretty chill. I think my dad can't sit next to a lot of people though. He has to kind of be by himself because he's trying to like lock in and watch and study it and stuff. My mom, like number one supporter. She's great. She doesn't like football because of how physical it is and everything. And so I don't know if she watches a lot of the games, but she's there supporting, cheering.
She's just doing one of these.
Yes, exactly. She does. She does not like it when I get tackled. So that's kind of how the family dynamic works. But I will say they're at every single game, and so I was super blessed with the family I have to support me through this dream that I'm living out.
And you mentioned the TCU game and the fans stormed the field. And was that the same photo that I saw you like raised up by all the students,
Yeah,
or was that
that
a
was that
different
game.
game?
That was that game. That was that game. Yeah, so
So
that
I
was
need like
really
a I
cool.
need like a play-by-play because you're definitely not a small guy. So it probably took a lot of students to lift
We
you up.
were, yeah, we were. So we hit a field. Isaiah Hankins, our kicker, made a field goal as time expired, and so I'm celebrating with all my teammates, coaches, hugging people. We're out there. We shake TCU's hand, about to walk off, and that's where like you just see the flood of people coming, and you were like, oh, awesome! Like, I always wanted, like you see the YouTube clips and stuff. I always wanted to be a part of one of those. And then I just felt somebody like grab my leg. I was like, "What in the world?" And then somebody came on the other side, and so two people just picked me up, and I was like, "Oh, all right, I mean, here we go." And they just that was that. So it was fun. It was a cool moment for sure.
That is so cool. And I love
Yeah.
like when you get to capture those moments too. And it's nice for you because you got to really live it and experience it and you didn't have to be like taking the selfies and all the things, and
Right.
there
Yeah.
was there was content from it. So that is so exciting. But I saw that photo, I was like, I have to ask you because how does that just go down? Right?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
ever
No.
were you ever worried like are they gonna drop me? And
No. I had faith in my guys. I knew they were gonna hold on to me.
That's good. Well, I also saw this season something about like Sawyer Robertson grows out the mustache and the rest is history. All right. There was some like discussion about this mustache on you and how it was like this big deal. So can you just explain what that was?
Yeah. Well, for starters, I just want to make it completely clear. I did not think it looked great. That's number one. I did not. I was not. I did not think it looked good. But so, like I said, we started 2-4 halfway through the season, and I had done it before, just like when I shaved, just like to mess around, leave the mustache part, take a few pictures, send it to my buddies, whatever it is. Well, I did it again in our bye week after we were 2-4, and I just left it for a day. But that day we had a really good practice, and so I was like, okay, I mean, like, we'll see where this goes.
It's the
And
mustache.
so Then we go into Texas Tech. I still have the mustache. It's not super like noticeable at this point, but like it's still like kind of there. And then we beat Tech, and so at that point it was like, all right, can't shave it now. Um, now, I did not expect it to still be there after 8 weeks of, we had just won every single game, and so I was like, I can't shave it at this point. But it was funny. I was getting a lot of a lot of laughs because of that, and it was a fun little thing to do. But I did shave it the night I got back to the hotel after the bowl game.
That's so good. Well, you know what? Like, there were a lot of fans, and just from me, like, kind of looking into it, who were doing, like, these deep discussions on your mustache about how it was, like, helping the team. So, like, just so you know, you need to be prepared to do it again next season.
2025 might have its own mustache, so we'll see.
Maybe. Well, Sawyer, there was a really cool moment also in your season, and I'm sure like you said, you started 2-4, and then you go on this six game win streak. But there was also a really cool moment in the bowl game against LSU, and it kind of went viral. Whit Weeks, an LSU defensive player, goes down. Okay, and I was actually watching this bowl game, and I didn't see this moment. But after the game, there was a photo posted of you like kneeling down and having your hand on him, and you were praying for him. And I thought it was so interesting because I was literally watching the game. I watched the entire injury go down. I watched the whole LSU team like send him off on the cart, and it was really hard to watch just as a fan of sports. And then that photo came out. I was like, wow, that is so cool that like someone from the other team would take the time to like kneel down and pray. And I also thought it was cool because it wasn't blown up on the broadcast, right? Like I was watching the
Right.
game and I
Yeah.
didn't see it, and then that photo got posted probably from a side photographer who just had the perfect angle between all the
Yeah.
players standing up. So could you just describe like what was going through your head in that moment? Because you guys are trying to score, like right, like you're
Right.
close.
Yeah.
I think you were in the red zone, something. You were right down there, and like that's probably not the forefront of your mind.
Right. Yeah. No, it was. We ran the play. We scored on the play, which was awesome. And like as I'm going to celebrate with Dawson, who scored the touchdown, and our lineman and the team, I like saw in the corner of my eye he was just laying there, and I saw his like ankle. I don't know. I think after they said it was like a dislocated ankle, broken something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I saw it and I was like, oh wow, that does not look good. And so yeah, it was just kind of like it was more like instinctual. I feel like I didn't really think about it too much. I just did it, and I think the cool thing about it is that that's not the first time I had done that throughout the season. But it was just the time that, like you said, the camera guy had the perfect angle, made the shot, it got posted, got a lot of attention. But it was cool because that's not the first time I had done that. And like I said, it was just like, it just felt like, the right thing to do, and like I had to do it. And I think another cool moment is they said like after the game that he should be able to be back by spring ball, and that it shouldn't be like a season ending or like a career, like because those injuries can be pretty bad. And so you never know, but I think that it definitely had something to do with it. And so I'm happy that he's going to be back and be able to play in the spring.
Yeah, that is so incredible. Did you happen to connect with him at any point after that?
Yeah, we did. We actually talked on social media a little bit after, and so he said thank you, and it was awesome. And so yeah, I told him I was hurting for him because I know he wanted to be out there, but it was a really cool moment, and like I said, I'm glad he's going to be able to play after. And it was cool being able to talk to him after his game, and his brother actually, who also plays for LSU, and so. Great family, great athletes too. They're going to be playing football for a long time, and so it'll be cool to keep up with them.
Yeah, wow. It's so cool for me to get to hear like the real story to that photo, because I have a sister, and kind of like the weeks like if my sister went down in the game and I saw somebody else like praying for my sister in the hardest moment, and like I would just emotionally wreck me, and it would mean like the world to me. So I just think it's so cool for a lot of reasons, but number one, like the impact that you've had just on their family, right? Like, wow, the quarterback on the other team just took the time to pray for like my kid or my brother. Like, that is so cool. And like you said that you had done that in other games before, but like it just came instinctually to you, right? And that
Right.
doesn't just happen. That's because you've repped out like time with the Lord, and you've repped out like leaning on your faith in hard times. But is there something that you do, maybe a daily discipline or something you do every week, that maybe somebody who's like, hey, like that's such a cool thing, like I want that to come out of me, I want that to be my response when someone goes down in a really terrible way during a football game, like I want that to be my reaction over like, oh yeah, we just scored, like take that, whatever it is, which you need a competitive spirit, so I'm all
Right.
for that.
Yeah.
But like for you to have that just come second nature to you, is there something that you do that you can really point towards that maybe led you to be able to do that in the moment?
Well, I would say number one, a big thing that, obviously it wasn't just like all me doing that because especially at Baylor University, I'm surrounded by so many awesome people, including teammates, classmates, coaches, our like sports ministry people. There's just so many FCA. There's so many people that like are pouring into you at Baylor, and just that sense of community, being surrounded by all those people. You learn stuff from this person, from that person. They learn stuff from you. There's just always that sense of like growing in your faith, and that's been the case since the moment I got here 2 years ago. And so, like I said, that it wasn't just all me by any means. I've been poured into by so many other people, older and younger, that have kind of like led up to that and led me to where I am now in my walk with Christ. But as far as like a daily discipline goes, I think, which I just started this year, we got a brand new football facility, which is awesome. It's I mean, state of the art, and so
That's a
there's a
big deal.
cool there's a
It's not like
cool
got a brand new
yeah.
locker. It's like we got a
No,
brand new facility.
no, and it's awesome because there's a cool spot. It's like a balcony that overlooks the Brazos River and McLean Stadium. And like I had always, like I do like my quiet time, read and pray and that stuff. Um, but being able to go to that spot where it's like very peaceful solitude, you're by yourself, pretty view, all that stuff. Um, like it stirred in me just a sense to like go do it more, and to I felt like I was growing even more. I was looking forward to doing my quiet time every day, and so I would go to that spot and spend a lot of time there. And so I think what I'm saying is finding that peaceful spot where I can go, and it doesn't have to be a place like that. It could be like the library, it could be a certain building, like anything like that. But like getting out of the house and going and doing something like that by yourself, I think that helped me grow a lot in my faith too, and it's something that I'm looking forward to continuing to do.
Definitely. And I think even for you to look out and see like, wow, like the beauty of nature, number one, but then two, like
Yes.
the campus, like how cool that I get to be here, right? Like you said,
Right.
you were gonna play baseball and football at a totally different school. And then like you
Right.
get to be here and spend time with the Lord in that space. I think that's really cool. But I do want to ask you about your FCA experience. How did you get involved with FCA at Baylor?
A teammate. I was in FCA at Mississippi State because I heard teammates talking about it. Got to Baylor within the first week of me being at Baylor. A teammate, Isaiah Hankins, our kicker, actually told me about it, and so I went. And I've been going ever since. But that just goes into what I was saying earlier about there's so many other people, teammates, coaches, everything that will pour into you. Like him inviting me to go to that, and then all the new guys that come in, we invite them. We have a player led Bible study, just all that stuff. And so that was how I actually got introduced to FCA at Baylor. Was a teammate invited me to go, and so I went.
That's awesome. And FCA Baylor, is it like one day a week? Like what's the cadence of it?
It's Monday nights, because you're talking about all the athletes from every sport, in season, out of season, everything. It's kind of hard to find a time to do that. And so Monday nights is when we meet up weekly. One of the student athletes will give their we'll generally open with a game, and then we'll give like a word by one of the athletes. It can be a testimony, it can be an actual like kind of sermon like word, and then we close in prayer in small groups. And so it's a really cool setup, I think, and it's grown since I've got here, which is a testament to how it's ran. It's a testament to the people that are showing up and the people that are getting invited to. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think what's cool and important for people to hear is like you're in season and probably you're able to make more Monday night meetings now that you're in the spring semester. But like you're in season and you're probably sore and tired and you probably got beat up on Saturday and you got film to watch and then probably 2 extra meetings, right, that night.
right.
But you're still making time. You're still going and you're not saying, I'm also not above anybody else just because I'm whatever on a certain team or have a certain position. And you're making time for that. And why do you think that's important, like within your week? Because like you said, there are other things. There are other people in the community. There are team Bible studies. There are, personal time with God. Some people might look at them and be like, oh, you're doing your quiet time. Like, you don't need to go pour into the Baylor athletic community. Like, why are you doing that and this and that? So what would you say the importance is of really investing in that group?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a way to kind of keep the main thing the main thing. And what I mean by that is, right, like I'm not at Baylor because Sawyer's good enough to be at Baylor. I'm at Baylor because God gave me the ability and the opportunity to be at Baylor. It kind of goes back to when like I was a little kid and my dad was teaching me about tithing. He's like, you need to tithe, give money. And like as a little kid, you're like, why would I give my money away? It doesn't make any sense. And he's like, it's not your money to begin with, right? Like God's gonna give money. He's gonna take whatever he wants from you. And so it's a way for me to just keep the main thing, right? Like if I want something to happen, but it's not in God's will, there's nothing I can do to make it happen. And on the flip side, if I don't want something to happen, but God is willing it to happen, there's nothing that's going to stop it from happening, right? And so it's just a way for me to kind of like refocus, recenter, and just spend time with the Lord and in community with other people, because that's the whole reason I'm here, right? And so that's why I don't play football for popularity or anything like that. I play football because it's a platform for me to spread that positivity and be a light for other people, and just be a witness for Jesus Christ.
That's awesome. Well said. That is so good. And I think too, like, especially in season, at least for me, when I would get to go to groups like FCA or Athletes in Action, in season specifically, it helped me a lot because it kind of took me outside of like me, like my season,
Right.
my game, how well did I play? Like, who am I talking to? And it was like, oh, remember like this person and this person from like all different teams that you love and care about and like
Yeah.
also love Jesus. So I think that's so
Yeah.
good.
It's like an escape. It's an escape from the reality of being in season. It's kind of a crazy experience that a lot of people, I guess, don't understand, like just the tunnel vision that you can get when you're in season and focused on that.
Right, which is all good. Like you do, if you want to win, you need tunnel vision, right? Like
Right.
you need
Yeah.
that. But it is good to kind of have that, like, okay, Monday at 7 to 8, like,
Yeah.
like that 1 hour I'm off kind of thing. And I love that too.
Yeah.
I like how you use the word escape because it is an escape, but it's also like the truth escape. Like, like you
Right.
would go like do a ton of other things to escape, especially in college and like, all the things. But like this is an escape, a part of that escape that's like life-giving. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Right. Yeah, that's really good.
Sawyer, was there something that maybe you didn't know in August and that you had to go through this season or that you really learned to understand or just develop, maybe as a quarterback, maybe spiritually, maybe just as a kid in college, that you are looking back now and you can say, man, I didn't know that in August, but now I know that and it's really going to benefit my life?
Yeah, I think so. Like part of my story, right? I'll be a fifth year senior this next season, going into my last year. And last year I didn't start the season I wasn't the starter going into the season, right? So you're going into your fourth season not being the starter, And I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I'm gonna have to get my LinkedIn fired up. I mean, I gotta get like, right, like you just don't
Hey,
like,
the UW player who posted. Did you see that? Did you
uh-uh.
see the? Okay,
Oh, yes, I
yes.
did. Yes, I did. That
So
was hilarious.
for people listening that don't know, I'm just gonna shout him out. I'm blanking on his name. His name might be Drew. I don't remember, but basically this UW football player posted like declaring for the draft, but like declaring for the job market on LinkedIn. And
Yes.
I thought it was the
It was
funniest. I
on
know people have done it before.
ESPN
Yes, I was
everywhere.
walking through the airport and I saw it on ESPN. I was like, this dude's gonna get a job like that. Okay, so sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off, but you were
Yeah,
preparing for your
but
job
that's
market
where
then.
I was like, all right, like as bad as I wanted to play football and be a football player, it was such a hard pill to swallow, but I was like, man, whatever it is. And I finally got to a point, like I had tried like on my own for so long, but I finally got to a point where I was like, God, it's yours. Like I surrender it to you. If you want it to happen, like I know it'll happen. If you don't, like I trust it. I don't necessarily like it because I wanted to be a football player my whole life, but I trust it. And it's funny, like after I surrendered it, then all the dominoes started falling for it to happen. And I'm not saying that's going to be the case for everybody, but what I will say is I'm glad it happened the way it did, because if I had gone in as a freshman or even a sophomore and had the season that I had this season, I wouldn't have been able to handle it well because I hadn't been through those struggles, right? I don't know where I would be right now. I might have gotten, prideful, full of myself, out doing things I shouldn't be doing, hanging out with people I shouldn't be hanging out with. But because I was able to kind of like go through all the struggle and all the stuff that I went through, it honestly humbled me a lot. And so once I did start having success, I guess I just really didn't like care about it because I had already gotten to a point where I was like, God, it's in your hands. So that was a cool moment this year that I can like look back on and be like, yeah, that's how everything went down.
That's a huge moment. That is not just
Yeah.
like a little moment. And man, that's going to change not only like the trajectory of your football career for years to come, but also your teammates and being able to like learn from you and see how their quarterback is leading the team and how their quarterback views a loss and how their quarterback views an interception, right? Like from a game loss to the smallest little play, right? And so I think that is so awesome. And maybe for people who are also feeling that and they haven't had that breakthrough in their sport, is there some advice that you would give them that maybe in that time of like, shoot, man, like I gotta spruce up my LinkedIn, like when you're in that season and
Yeah.
maybe you don't have like a great answer, maybe you're just like, yeah, it sucked. Like that
Yeah.
could be your answer, but like what advice would you give to someone who's kind of in that season of waiting for a breakthrough in their sport?
Yeah. No, that is a great question and something that I thought about too. I was like, how do I like what do I do? Like I'm in a season of like waiting for something to happen, but at the same time, like I want it to happen. I'm trying so hard, like what do you do? And something that I kind of focused on was like, like why am I here? Okay, like football's not working out for me right now, so like why did God call me here? And what I through like a lot of prayer, the conclusion I came to was that there are some people, some of my teammates in that locker room who don't know Jesus. And so I was like, the only reason I might be at Baylor is to change the eternity for somebody else. And so I'm going to go out in the locker room. I'm going to, introduce the gospel. I'm going to invite them to Bible study. I'm just going to like start that relationship. And that might be the only reason I'm at where I'm at, is to have an impact on that one person. And then they might end up being, one of the most influential people in the world someday, leading hundreds of people to Jesus. And so that might have been the only reason I was at Baylor. And so I think that is something, some advice for some people that are in that same season is like, yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow, but you might not be there to be a record setter or like the most successful person in your sport. You might be there to change somebody else's life for the better. And that's a way bigger win than anything that can happen on a Saturday or on, whatever game day that you have. And so like that's what the main thing is. And so I think that is something you should focus on.
Yeah, that's so good. And that reminds me of something that this girl that came on the podcast a couple weeks ago, Katie Dixon, she won like multiple national championships at UNC
Wow.
for field
Yeah.
hockey. And she was like, the rings will fade. Like that stuff goes
Yeah.
away. And it's like just explaining how much the relationships matter. And when you look back, yes, you'll remember like the super fun moments when you're being lifted up by
Yeah.
the student fan base, but like you're also gonna really take to heart those times when like you were able to see change in your best friend, your teammates. And I think too, like it's hard, right? That's not like an easy thing to invite someone to Bible study, even if you're at a Christian school. Like I went to a Jesuit university. Baylor's a Christian school. Like it's still
Yeah.
hard, and you still have to be bold in your faith. But at least for me, every single time I'm like, do I do it? Do I not do it? I think about like, what am I doing? Am I leading my friend astray? Am I leading this person astray? No, I'm just trying to invite them to some good stuff. Like,
Yeah.
is it anything bad? Like, no, it's all good things. And so I think that's at least from me, like a piece of advice is if you're struggling with like being bold in your faith to like invite someone to do something, be like, is it good or bad? No, it's all good. So we're good.
Yeah. Right. You're right. Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah. That's spot on.
Well, I know you got a lot going on and school is getting going and all the things. So I would love to wrap it up with one more question. Pre-game, before your games, do you wear headphones or no headphones?
I do. I had my AirPods for like the first week or two. Lost them. Okay, that's one thing about me. Like I'm not. I can lose some stuff pretty easily, and so my guy, one of our football ops guys hooked me up with some like earbuds, but they were wired, and so
Okay.
I wore those. I'd never lost those. Wore those all year. So that's what I was rocking was the old school wired earbuds, and so caught a little heat for them, but you know what? They got the job done. So
What brand are they? Do you know?
like that like Apple like
Oh,
traditional
they're
like
the old
the
school
white ones.
Apple. Okay.
Yeah, like the white ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. All right. Well, this is the plug for Sawyer to get some Bluetooth headphones. If anybody wants to hook him up with those, please shout out Sports Spectrum and tag him in this video because, listen, you could be, in the pregame on the field, get a couple pictures of you, whatever you want to do. But when you are listening through those wired headphones, and maybe you stick with those, maybe you can make that your thing. It's not a bad thing. What are
Yeah.
you listening to?
So I'm actually a person. I've gotta listen to something that's gonna like calm me down. I can't listen to some like hype, any of that stuff. I gotta do like something that'll calm me down. I like listening to Brandon Heath, and then I like listening to just other like relaxing stuff like that, so I don't get too like amped up.
Yeah, that's good. I know I've heard a few other football players, specifically quarterbacks, say like instrumental music, and I think that's really like sometimes I had family members get ready for workouts with me and they turn instrumental music on. I'm like,
Yeah, see, I
this
don't
is
do
great,
that. I don't
but
do that. I get,
not to
I
that level.
understand. I do understand. It's the same principle, but I don't. Yeah, no, I gotta have some. I can't do instrumental.
That's good. Well, now people know what you're listening to in your headphones when you're pregame, getting ready for the battle ahead. But Sawyer, thank you so much for taking the time today and sharing your heart with the Sports Spectrum audience. I really do think that this is going to impact people of all ages, and it's really cool to talk to you today. And you don't have to be a Baylor football fan to be a fan of Sawyer. So happy to have you on the What's Up podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me.